and welcome to Killing Arden, an ongoing series of podcast explorations of Arden of Faversham by the unknown. We are on episode 3. How did that happen? I think it's episode 3. If it turns out to be episode 4, I'll say that, and then I'll maybe do an edit there and make it sound much more organised and professional. It's actually been quite a long time since our previous episode in terms of recording. We've got a slightly different lineup, so some people might need to get on board with the whole murder plots that are going on. But we have in the room today, we have Greg, Eric, Tom, Sarah and Liza, who are going to be discussing audio adaptation of Arden for hopefully the not too distant future, but not quite officially green lit yet. It's sort of I was going to say it's amber lit, but it's sort of more, maybe it's a mauve lit. I don't quite know where we are on the colour spectrum of actually commissioning this one into an actual full cost audio. It was vaguely voted for by our patrons, but not quite enough to get over the edge. So we're doing the prep work to see what we need to do to the script in a very public, outward-facing way. And if you have ideas, feel free to contact us at admin@beyondshakespeare.org and send your suggestions about what we should do. Or you can always support us on Patreon or one-off donation on Ko-fi.com. All the links are in the show description, and your donation might mean that this happens thanks to your wonderful support and/or keep us in cheese. So, without further ado of that waffling introduction, we're going to look at scene 3. Previous scenes included a lengthy scene at home with the Ardens, and then a commissioning of murder scene with Black Will and Shake Bag. This is scene 3, and it has various people, but we're just going to read for a very, 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 very short period of time. So I'm going to ask Liza, could you read Michael? Sarah, if you could read Arden. Greg, if you could read Franklin. And that's as far as we're going to go for the moment. So just as we sort of reorientate ourselves. So the scene opens with Michael, and he's got a letter.
Hang on, I'm scrolling.
What that kind of letter?
Yeah, Michael's just working his way down the letter. It's a long letter, so I don't know how long it is. It's fair to middling. Enter Michael.
I have gotten such a letter as will touch the painter, and thus it is.
Here enters Arden and Franklin, and hears Michael read this letter.
My duty remembered, Mistress Susan, hoping in God you be in good health as I, Michael, was at the making hereof. This is to certify you that as the turtle true when she hath lost her mate sitteth alone, so I, mourning for your absence, do walk up and down Paul's till one day I fell asleep and lost my master's pantoufles. Ah, Mistress Susan, abolish that paltry painter. Cut him off by the shins with a frowning look of your crabbed countenance, and think upon Michael, who, drunk with the dregs of your favor, will cleave as fast to your love as a plaster of pitch to a galled horseback. Thus, hoping you will let my passions penetrate, or rather impetrate, mercy of your meek hands, I end. Yours, Michael. Or else not Michael.
Why, you paltry knave, stand you here loitering, knowing my affairs? What haste my business craves to send to Kent?
Hey, friend Michael, this is very ill. Knowing your master have no more but you, and do ye slack his business for your own?
Where is the letter, sirrah? Let me see it.
Then he gives him the letter.
See, Master Franklin, here's proper stuff. Susan, my maid, the painter, and my man, a crew of harlots, all in love, forsooth. Sirrah, let me hear no more of this, nor for thy life once write to her a word.
Here enters Green, Will, and Shake Bag.
Wilt thou be married to so base a trull? 'Tis Mosby's sister. Come I once at home, I'll rouse her from remaining in my house. Now, Master Franklin, let us go walk in Paul's. Come but a turn or two, and then away.
And we have the exit of Arden, Franklin, and Michael. So there's a lot of stuff going on here, which is sort of predicated on seeing people in the background. So we've just literally had the entrance of Will Green and Shakebag, which I think can be covered. I don't think it's essential, actually, that the audience knows that they've overheard that bit, so I'm not so worried about that. But it's the clarity of Arden and Franklin overhearing Michael. Is it a problem that we don't know that they're there at him reading that letter? And how clear is that likely to be? So yeah, what do we do about conferring on an audience overhearingness? And does it matter if they do or do not know? Because in a sense, Arden steps forward, doesn't he, and basically explicates what's just happened, that he's overheard him reading out the letter. Am I making a mountain of molehill? What are the thoughts of the room on the dramaturgy here? Sarah?
I don't think you're making a mountain out of a molehill. I think it's important that the audience knows that they're there, but could we just do it with something like I don't know, I'm just trying to think how much of Franklin and Arden. We've had quite a lot of Franklin and Arden already, haven't we? So the audience would know their voices. So you could maybe just do it with something like a cough or a hem or a mutter or I don't know. Or I'm just scrolling down to see if there's a line that you could take of Arden's and sort of like repeat it and kind of under his breath, you know. You could almost have him saying, "Now, Master Franklin," as an aside, maybe, just to kind of in a whispered undertone to kind of make it clear that they're sort of lurking in the shadows. Maybe I do think it needs something, but I don't think it would need a lot.
It's just whether we rejig, because, you know, some of what Arden says after he gives him the letter, I mean, he's heard him read the letter out loud, potentially. I mean, there's a good question. Does he hear all of the letter being read, or is he just seeing him standing there with a letter? And then because we could throw in Arden whispering to Franklin, as you say there, that actually we overlap some of this, and that might work. To a degree, I'm not so worried about this, in the sense that we could record a lot of takes and play around with it in the edit, rather than sit here worrying about edit. But it's like, you know, almost Arden's opening gambit, you know, "Paltry knave, stand you here loitering." You know, you could make that a rather than an interjection, you can make that something and then step forward with some of the other lines otherwise. Sarah again.
Yeah, it depends really on why he's, you know, he could only decide this in rehearsal, but why Arden is saying what he's saying, like whether he has or hasn't heard the letter. Because if he has heard the letter, then a lot of this is quite performative. And if it's performative, then he's doing it specifically to humiliate Michael and to sort of bully him. And that kind of, you know, that says something about his character. You know, we talked quite a lot in the last workshop, I seem to recall, about, or at least I did, about Agatha Christie and the fact that the murder victims are quite often portrayed as being, you know, highly unlikable. And if you wanted to go down that route with Arden, then you maybe would want to keep that as something that he says out loud, because if he's kind of actually dressing down Michael and he's doing it in that performative way, then that actually makes him much less sympathetic. But it depends which way you want to go with it, I guess.
Yeah, because we've talked quite a lot about the different relationships. I mean, this is a play where, going back to, I think, your point at the very beginning, that we're not worried about introducing who people are. We've had very good establishing scenes, and there aren't that many characters in this play, certainly at this stage, that we're worrying. Michael, I'm a bit worried about his initial entrance, but he does say yours, Michael, and his name several times in that opening. So I'm not worried about introducing him. And if they don't know who Arden is by this point, then we're screwed. You know. Okay. Just briefly, a content of the letter. Yeah, it's bless. I mean, it's an awful letter. But it's a really good, awful letter. Any additional thoughts before we get deeper into the scene? Eric almost waving.
I'm just pondering the letter, because it's like, why is he reading it out loud? I mean, if he wrote it, is he just checking his spelling? Is that the thing? Or is it just? I mean, obviously, it's a sort of maybe like a deposition of evidence against sort of this is the plot that's going on, or not. I don't know. But also, yeah,
go on.
In terms of sound effects, you could also use, because obviously paper rustling has a sound. People entering a room has a sound, depending on where you place it, unless he's outside, in which case you can have footsteps and crunch, like knowing that someone is there, except he doesn't notice because he's too busy reading.
And it's this. I mean, it's slightly just the way the opening line is written might need a tweak as well. It's just, I have gotten such a letter, but of course, he hasn't got. He has gotten around to writing such a letter, or he's got someone to write it for him. So it's the clarity of that, because that is slightly misleading. It's cleared up very quickly when the letter is read. I don't think in the play world anyone's hearing him say the letter aloud. I don't think Arden hears him read the letter within the play world as it stands. In our version, it might be that they overhear him reading it aloud, and we intercut the later dialogue with him reading the letter, and that all flows in a nice way.
Yeah, but then Arden goes, "Where's the letter, sir?" Therefore,
we can cut that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Obviously, yeah.
Or show me it. He can still do the letter, grab the letter. But if we've already had his dialogue with Franklin as Michael is intercut with Michael reading the letter, then we can sort of just get to it, just go away much quicker, and it may not be quite as effective as the stage thing. But this is going to be quite a fiddly series of scenes potentially for us. Any different thoughts? We could just leave it well alone and just hope everyone gets it. But I sometimes wonder, worry about clarity of action. Tom, muted at present. There we are.
Sorry. Yeah, I haven't been here for the beginning, but it sounds like some really good ideas, in the sense that it all depends how you want to. This is a side scene type of thing, but it can build a character and the mood and the tension, and I think it's important because of that. Because it's one of those things which is a pause, quite a long pause, which can go a long way to, as Sarah said, to developing the whole ambient, the whole dramatic sense of the characters.
Yes, because we do get a bit more on. Michael hasn't had a lot of stage time, so I certainly wouldn't want to diminish any of this. But yeah, he's Arden is harsh with him, and it does lead us into a thing. Now we come, of course, to Green, Will, and Shakeback. I don't think it matters that they enter where they enter. I think they can enter at the end of the speech and just say, "Oi, it's Arden over there," unless we find out in a moment that it's actually structurally important. I think it will create more confusion because you won't know who they are, per se. But Liza,
well, Michael is Michael part of the conspiracy? Because later on, they seem to say that he has before this sworn to murder Arden, or maybe this is where he resolves to murder Arden. If they enter while he's on stage, they can exchange some glances like, I'm going to kill this guy. Yeah, I'm going to kill this guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, possibly. I don't think he's involved in this murder plot. I think he's been commissioned, but I don't think he's actually involved in this one because he's been promised things that the other murder organization has would contradict. And in an audio universe as well, sadly, we can't do glances. But Sarah.
Yeah, he was murder plot number 1, which hasn't really got off the ground yet, which is it Anne, the wife? Anne. I think I've got Anne in my head. The wife. The Alice.
Of
Alice.
Alice, yes.
Sorry, Alice. Alice basically the first murder plot was her basically taking him aside and saying, you know, if you murder Arden for me, you can marry Susan, who is the sister of her lover. And he was like, oh, righty-ho, okay, I'll do that then. But then nothing actually ever came of that. So that was just that was kind of like that iron was put in the fire. But he's not actually anything to do with the shake bag plot. That's a separate plot. That's plot number 3. And in between we have plot number 2, which was with the painter, which who is also the rival for Susan. So it's
complicated because they have basically bartered Susan off for Clark, the painter, to do one of the other plots, which isn't this one either.
No, the painter plot was the pottage. Well, actually, there were 2 painter plots. There was the cross, and then there was the pottage.
There was the pottage first, then it went to the cross. Yeah.
The pottage. They tried that already, and it failed miserably because he was like, why does this taste?
She got the order wrong. That's why.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And whereas the shake bag and Black Will plot was set up by Green and Bradshaw in the previous scenes. So this is the problem. There are so many attempts to kill Arden. They are so profligate with their murder attempts that we can't keep track. But I don't think it matters per se. So I don't think he's involved. I think he is at this stage an innocent of this particular instance. Anyway, so I think we've got a handle on this. We shall decide later if we are wrong. We then have, just to confuse everyone, we've had the entrance of Will, Green, and Shakebag. So I'll ask who hasn't spoken. Eric, I think, and Tom. So I'll ask Eric if you can be Green, and Tom if you can be Will. No, Tom, if you can be Prentice, I'll be Will, and we'll see how. Oh no, hang on. We got Who did I say? Eric, who did I say you were? Green.
Green, and then well, the thing is, Arden, Michael, and Franklin have left, so technically
they have left, but everyone. But we've got enough people to read different people, so we should be fine. I'll read Green, and Tom, if you can read the Prentice coming up. And Liza, if you could just read the stage directions as we go forward. And
how about Shakebag?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Oh, have I not
There's
done
Green,
Shakebag?
Will, and Shakebag, and then Prentice who comes up.
Sarah,
later.
you can be Shakebag. I think it'll be fine. It gets confusing at this point. We don't quite have enough readers. But yeah, actually, because nobody's ever talking at the same time, Greg, you can be Will. That makes sense. And that covers all the bases. And I'll read the stage directions as I'm not. So, Liza, you can stand down, relax. All is cool. Hopefully, nobody talks at the same time.
Liza, would you like Shakebag? Because you haven't read yet. Have you? Oh, yeah, no, you read Michael.
I have read. I was Michael, and I'm looking forward to your Shakebag tremendously.
Okay, let's see how this goes. We'll stop and start if it goes horribly wrong. Anyway, everyone exits apart from Green, Will, and Shakebag.
The first is Arden, and that's his man. The other is Franklin, Arden's dearest friend.
Sounds! I'll kill them all 3!
Nay, sir, touch not his man in any case, but stand close, and take you fittest standing, and at his coming forth speed him. To the nag's head there is this coward's hoard. But now I'll leave you till the deed be done.
Exit Green.
He be not paid his own, ne'er trust Shakebag.
Sir Shakeback is coming forth. I'll run him through, and then to the Blackfriars and their water. Take water and away.
Aye, that's the best. But see thou miss him not.
How can I miss him when I think on the 40 angels I must have more?
Here enters Prentice.
'Tis very true. I were best shut up my stall, for here will be old flinching when the press comes forth of Paul's.
Then lets he down his window, and it breaks Black Will's head.
Sounds, draw, Shakeback, I am almost killed.
Will tame you, I warrant.
Zounds, I am tame enough already.
Here enters Arden, Franklin, and Michael. Quick change voice for everyone.
Sorry. What troublesome fray or mutiny is this?
'Tis nothing but some brabling paltry fray devised to pick men's pockets in throng.
It's nothing else. Come, Franklin, let's away.
And they exit, leaving Will and the Prentice.
What men shall I have for my broken head?
Marry, this men's that if you get not away all the sooner, you shall be well beaten and sent to the counter.
Exit Prentice.
But I'll be gone, but look to your signs, for I'll pull them down all. Shakeback, my broken head grieves me not so much as by this means Arden had escaped.
And we'll just pause there. So it's quite a complicated, fiddly bit of business, made more confusing for our current listeners by the fact we're all swapping the parts around. So yeah, we've got people walk off stage. People are there saying we're going to take out someone. A random Prentice comes out and says, "'Tis very late. I better shut up my stall." and clonks Black Will over the head, creating a massive kerfuffle. By which point Arden passes again and goes, "What's going on over there?" "Oh, there's just some people having an argument." "Oh, right, okay," and goes, and the moment passes. So it's late night shopping, it's say about 10 to 5 on a winter's night. It's quite dark. The shops are closing a bit, and you're sauntering by. How do we make this clear? Is there enough data in the text, or will Foley and good performances and a lot of bouncing around make this clear? Do we need there to be? Yeah. Thoughts, Sarah?
Well, what strikes me is that the only place there's a mention of window is in the stage directions. In the actual line that he says, "I were best shut up my stall." So I'm wondering if for a modern audience you could go with that rather than following the stage direction, and you could have as a Foley effect, you could have a shutter like the sort that you get on a covered market stall. You could have a shutter coming down, because I think that would maybe translate the action, like the idea of him closing up a stall. If you could put in some different noises, bangs and thuds, and the shutter coming down, and then Will going, "Oh, or you could even add in an owl maybe. And I think that would do it. I think that would be enough. But I think if you try and do like a window going down sound, I think that is just going to be confusing, because people are going to think stall, they're going to think market stall, a contemporary audience, I would have thought, at least.
Greg and then Eric.
I need something very simple. I think you need to set a little bit of scene, even if it's just a quick fade out of some market sounds towards the start of this scene, or somewhere in the scene, just to allow that sort of sense that there is shops nearby.
Yeah,
not much.
Yeah, because it's a slightly confused scene in the sense that we have what feels a very intimate opening moment with the letter and Michael, etc., and then this that feels much more public. Of course, it's sort of late in the day public, but yeah, that sense of the market, the closing market calls of Payments repaired, lost, shutting up my store now, kind of stuff. I do wonder if we do need to sort of put in a slightly dodgy bit of window, lamp shading to make clear what's going on there from the Prentice, because Prentice doesn't say frankly enough. I mean, he gets this weird line, "We'll tame you, I warrant," which is just unhelpful.
Well, no, it makes sense because Will is saying, "Draw a shake bag. I'm almost killed." So Will is looking to start a fight with the Prentice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't make sense on a stage. It's just not very helpful for us. An slightly indeterminate moment of action followed by an action that isn't fully explicated in sound. Trying to avoid writing slightly terrible bits of dialogue. Eric, then Sarah.
Well, see, when we originally read this, and like every time we read this stage direction, I keep thinking that it's like what do you call it? Like a shutter, but like the wooden ones where you have to close it inwards. And what I kept picturing is basically he closes it inwards, but one of them falls down. So you would have a terrible crash, and it would be really, really painful if you get hit on the head with that. Thing is, that doesn't work for a stall. Like it wouldn't be at ground level, but which is detail. But I mean, you could use that sound effect of like something wooden closing sharply and then like crash. I just don't know how that would work in terms of like how you would make it like in terms of Foley, so that the sort of ow zunes draw shake bag comes like right after. Otherwise, it sounds really weird with a delay.
Yeah, it's the thing. Without explication, will the moment read? And there's an element of, well, maybe it's until you actually do it, you start scrabbling around afterwards, going, is it right? Is it enough? Any other different thoughts on this 3-pipe problem, Sarah?
Yes, that last line of the Prentices, "Will tame you, I warrant." I think if you had the Prentice, the actor playing the Prentice, if they delivered that line in a sort of, yeah, whatever, you're not going to get your sword out, love, are you? He could actually be saying it as he's walking away because he's shut up his stall for the night. And then Will says, "Oh, draw shake bag. He's hit me on the head. I'm almost killed." And it's almost like it's over his shoulder. "Yeah, we'll tame you." And then as he's walking away, "I warrant." And you could hear his footsteps on the cobbles. And then again in the background, you could hear him maybe like shouting, like, or good, like the equivalent of good night or whatever to his fellow traders. So there is this sense of him walking away. And I think, again, that would make sense of that line in the way that Liza was talking about it. It's like, yeah, there's not going to be a fight here. I'm going.
Well,
please
finish.
Yeah.
The trouble is that Prentice has another line. And I kind of love the extent to which the Prentice is not sorry. Because if I had knocked someone on my head by folding down a wooden flap of my stall, I would be like, "Oh shit, I'm really sorry." But no, the Prentice, first of all, he's like, "Don't try it, mate." I think we'll tame you, I'll warrant isn't defusing the fight. It's just like, if you come for me, you will get beat. And then Will says, "What amends shall I have for my broken head?" And the Prentice, "Marry this amends, that if you get not away all the sooner, you shall be well beaten and sent to the counter."
Yeah, I didn't realize he had another line. Okay, so you could do it on his final line then. "You shall be well beaten and sent to the counter." He could walk off there. It's like, I think there's like, it would be quite, in terms of the story, the audio storytelling, if you hear him walk off in the distance, you've got the sense of the whole scenario has just been like boxed off and there's not going to be any fighting. But yeah, no, I totally take your point about the fact that he has another speech. I missed that.
Yeah, and I mean, it may be made clearer by actually the return of Arden and Franklin. That sense of an ongoing scuffle is going on. If there's actually a mini sword fight going on in the background, going arg. That's the technical term. And Arden and Franklin are doing that, and it's like there's some sort of final smack in the face. What is it? Let's get out of it. I'm still worried about the clarity of Prentice of that action, but I just going to have to write some really, really awkward, clanky lines of dialogue and see if we can make them work. And then if we can not use them in the edit, then we won't. But I think we've got to put some coverage in there of dodgy radio exposition. Damn. Eric.
Well, I guess even if it's not a literal window in the way that we know it, it could just be, because, a stall, it would creak. You could just it's like creak and then. Well, I don't. Yeah, my technical terms are not exactly perfect. But I mean, just you need the crash in order to sort of have that sort of thud sound that it would make against the head.
So the thing is, it could be anything. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a window. All it has to be is stallholder's done something that whacks him one. I mean, there's part of me just wants him to, in the process, to have knocked over a box of oranges. That's sort of the because it needs to be this messy public look over here event that Arden and Franklin notice in passing. And again, I don't know if there's an oral signifier that we can do to just make sure, because all we need is a kerfuffle. Actually, that's the important thing, that someone notices. That's what is dramatically happening that matters. Whereas, okay, the detail of the fact that Will and in theory Shakebag are fighting the Prentice isn't essential. It's nice, and on stage that's exactly how I do it, but I wonder whether that's getting in the way. I could be wrong. Okay. We've aired the problem, even if I haven't found a precise solution. The rest of the scene, I suspect, will go a lot smoother. So Green enters, presumably oblivious as to what's just happened. Let's let the scene run on. Will, I had a glimpse of him, I think.
Sorry, yes. I had a glimpse of him in his companions.
What, Sirs Arden as well as I? I met him and Franklin going merrily to the ordinary. What, dare you not do it?
Yes, sir, we dare do it. Were my consent to give again, we would not do it under £10 more. We value every drop of my blood at a French crown. When I have had £10 to steal a dog, we have no more here to kill a man. But that, a bargain is a bargain, and so forth. You should do it yourself.
I pray thee, how came thy head broken?
Why, thou seest it broke, dost thou not?
Standing against a wall, watching Arden's coming, a boy let down his shop window and broke his head, whereupon arose a brawl, and in the tumult Arden escaped us and passed by unthought on. But forbearance is no acquittance. Another time we'll do it, I warrant thee.
I pray thee, Will, make clean thy bloody brow, and let us bethink us on some other place where Arden may be met with handsomely. Remember how devoutly thou hast sworn to kill the villain. Think upon thine oath.
Tush, I have broken 500 oaths. But wouldst thou charm me to effect this deed? Tell me of gold my resolution's fee. Say thou seest must be kneeling at my knees, offering me service for my high attempt. And sweet Alice Arden, with a lap of crowns, comes with a lowly curtsy to the earth, saying, take this, but for thy quarterage, such yearly tribute when I answer thee. Why, this would steal soft-mettled cowardice, with which black will was never tainted yet. I tell thee, Green, the forlorn traveller, whose lips are glued with summer's parching heat, ne'er long so much to see a running brook. Sigh to finish Arden's tragedy. Seest thou this claw that cleaveth to my face? From hence ne'er will I wash this bloody stain till Arden's heart be panting in my hand.
Why, that's well said, but what saith Shakebag?
Cannot paint my valour out with words, but give me place and opportunity. Such mercy as the starving lioness, when she is dry-sucked of her eager young, shows to the prey that next encounters her. On Arden, so much pity would I take.
So should it fare with men of firm resolve. And now, sir, seeing that this accident of meeting him in Paul's hath no success, let us bethink us of some other place whose earth may swallow up this Arden's blood.
And we'll just briefly pause there. Thankfully, the text has supplied us with if not a solution for the moment. I still think it's going to be slightly confusing as to what the hell's going on while it's happening, but the text does supply with an explanation of what happened previously, so that's fine. What's nice is the character note here. I like the way that now it's personal. Previously, they were just doing it for the money. Now he wants to revenge his bloody head. And stuff. Again, doesn't solve the problem, but it mitigates the problem, and I now relax. And relax. There we are. That's fine. Any additional thoughts on that little scenette? No, I think we'll finish the scene. Here enters Michael. Green continues.
See, yonder comes his man, and what you what? The foolish knave's in love with Mosby's sister, and for her sake, whose love he cannot get unless Mosby solicit his suit, the villain hath sworn the slaughter of his master. We'll question him, for he may stead us much. How now, Michael, whither are you going?
My master hath new supped, and I am going to prepare his chamber.
Where supped Master Arden?
At the Nag's Head, the 18pence ordinary. How now? Master Shakebag, what black will? God's dear lady, how chance your face is so bloody?
Who said there is a chance in it? This sauciness in you will make you be knocked.
Nay, and you be offended, I'll be gone.
Stay, Michael, you may not escape us so.
Woo.
Michael, I know you love your master well.
Why, so I do, but wherefore urge you that?
Because I think you love your mistress better.
So think not I. But say, i'faith, what if I should?
Come to the purpose, Michael. We hear you have a pretty love in Faversham.
Why, have I 2 or 3? What's that to thee?
You deal too mildly with a peasant. Thus it is. 'Tis known to us that you love Mosby's sister. We know, besides, that you have taken your oath to further Mosby to your mistress's bed, and kill your master for his sister's sake. Now, sir, a poorer coward than yourself was never fostered in the coast of Kent. How comes it then that such a knave as you dares to have a matter of such consequence?
Well...
Tush, give me leave. There's no more but this. See, thou hast sworn we dare discover all. And hadst thou, or shouldst thou utter it, we have devised a complot underhand. Whatever shall betide to any of us to send thee roundly to the devil of hell, and therefore thus I am the very man marked in my birth hour by the destinies to give an end to Arden's life on earth. Thou but remember to whet the knife, whose edge must search the closet of his breast. Thy office is but to appoint the place, and train thy master to his tragedy. Mine to perform it when occasion serves. Then be not nice, but here divide with us how and what way we may conclude his death.
So shalt thou purchase Mosby for thy friend, and by his friendship gain his sister's love.
So shall thy mistress be thy favourer, and thou disburdened of the oath thou made.
Well, gentlemen, I cannot but confess, as if you have urged me so apparently, that I have vowed my master Arden's death. And he whose kindly love and liberal hand doth challenge naught but good deserts of me, I will deliver over to your hands. This night come to his house at Aldersgate. The doors I'll leave unlocked against you come, No sooner shall ye enter through the latch over the threshold to the inner court, but on your left hand you shall see the stairs that leads directly to my master's chamber. There, take him and dispose him as ye please. Now, were good we parted company, what I have promised, I will perform.
Should you deceive us, 'twould go wrong with you.
I will accomplish all I have revealed.
Come, let's go drink. Collar makes me dry as a dog.
Exeunt Will, Green, and Shakebag, leaving Michael.
Thus feeds the lamb securely on the down, whilst through the thicket of an arbor brake, the hunger-bitten wolf o'erpries his haunt and takes advantage for to eat him up. Armless Arden, how hast thou misdone that thus thy gentle life is levelled at? The many good turns that thou hast done to me, now must I quittance with betraying thee. I that should take the weapon in my hand and buckler thee from ill-intending foes, to lead thee with a wicked fraudful smile as unsuspected to the slaughterhouse. So have I sworn to Mosby and my mistress, so have I promised to the slaughtermen, and should I not deal currently with them, their lawless rage would take revenge on me. Tush, I will spurn at mercy for this once. Let pity lodge where feeble women lie. I am resolved, and Arden needs must die.
Arden must die. There are some dramatic questions. There's some questions to dramaturgy at this point, which I do wonder about. Just really how much Green has been told. I mean, it's possible he was told, because I don't recall it happening earlier, because he was pretty tightly involved. But I don't find it dramatically implausible that additional conversations have been had, and this. It's interesting that they're utilizing Michael to find another opportunity. But I think there's some really interesting character work going on that basically just Will goes, "You aren't up for it, mate. You're rubbish," and almost talks Michael into, going, "No, I can't. No, I can. I know how you can murder him. This point is and it's this sort of act of bravado that this person who isn't clearly Will's right. He's not up to it, is he? And yeah, there's all sorts of weird things as well. The many good turns that was done to me. He's suddenly very nice about Arden, where you go, 5 minutes ago he was a total bastard. So, but maybe on a better day Arden's nice. I don't know. Is overall Arden nice, but a bit bad-tempered? And where's the balance of payments in that scheme of things? So there's lots of interesting character stuff here. And in a sense, nothing happens for quite a long time in this scene, until we get to this second attempt to murder Arden for this particular set of characters. But dramaturgically, all those little weird questions I think can be ironed out with rehearsal and actors. Anything in terms of coming across in an audio universe, I think that all flowed really nicely. I don't think there's a problem with that section. So, unless anyone has additional thoughts, we'll move on to the next scene. No. Oh, yes, Eric.
Well, also because I think it was... Well, Sarah had put in the chat, I don't remember when Green was told about Michael. I'm just thinking that, Green recognized Michael at the beginning of the scene as one of Arden's sort of henchmen or servants or whatever you want to call them. So there's a part of me going, he probably recognized that, but then wasn't there also the scene where Alice tries to seduce Green? Anyway, and does this whole thing of, I've got other people who are going to try, but since you're here, might as well, sort of, if you want it bad enough kind of thing. Because I think he hasn't revealed to Will and Shakebag why he wants to murder Arden. He's revealed to, Green hasn't revealed to Shakebag and Will why he wants to murder Arden. He's just like, the guy's stolen from my land, or I can't remember if that's the plot or I'm making this up. So please help.
I think it's primarily they're only interested in the money until the hurt occurs. So yes,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. There was this scene between Alice and Green earlier, but I'd say I don't think they went into any detail about
Yeah.
the other murder plots. But I say I don't think it's unreasonable that Alice would have an additional conversation about the murder that they're going to. He's there off to commission from
Yeah.
Will and Shakebag. There is a part of me going, playwrights just decided to do this to make the scene work. But, hey, we've all been there. Any other thoughts? No. Okay, we'll go on to scene 4. And we'll stay with the same combination because it's a continuing series of combination of peoples. So, enter Arden and Franklin.
No, Franklin, no. If fear or stormy threats, if love of me or care of womanhood, if fear of God or common speech of men who mangle credit with their wounding words and couch dishonour as dishonour buds, might join repentance in her wanton thoughts, no question then but she would turn the leaf and sorrow for her dissolution. But she is rooted in her wickedness, perverse and stubborn, not to be reclaimed. Good counsel is to her as rain to weeds, and reprehension makes her vice to grow as Hydra's head that plenished by decay. Her faults, methink, are painted in my face, forever searching eye to overread, and Mosby's name, a scandal unto mine, is deeply trenched in my blushing brow. Ah, Franklin, when I think on this, my heart's grief rends my other powers worse than the conflict at the hour of death.
Gentle Arden, leave this sad lament. She will amend, and so your griefs will cease, or else she'll die, and so your sorrows end. If neither of these two do haply fall, yet let your comfort be the others bear your woes, twice double all with patience.
My house is irksome. There I cannot rest.
Then stay with me in London, go not home.
Then that base Mosby doth usurp my room and makes his triumph of my being thence. At home or not at home, where'er I be, here it lies. Ah, Franklin, here it lies, that will not out till wretched Arden dies.
Here enters Michael.
Forget your griefs a while, here comes your man.
What o'clock is it, sirrah?
Almost 10.
Oh, see how runs away the weary time. Come, Master Franklin, shall we go to bed?
Exeunt Arden and Michael in just a moment. Franklin will continue speaking as they're going.
I pray you go before, I'll follow you. Ah, what a hellish fretful jealousy. What pity-moving words, what deep-fetched sighs, what grievous groans and overlading woes accompanies this gentle gentleman. Now will he shake his care-oppressed head, then fix his sad eyes on the sullen earth, ashamed to gaze upon the open world. Now will he cast his eyes up towards the heavens, looking that ways for redress of wrong. Sometimes he seeketh to beguile his grief, and tells a story with his careful tongue. Then comes his wife's dishonour in his thoughts, and in the middle cutteth off his tale, pouring fresh sorrow on his weary limbs, so woe begone, so inly charged with woe, was never any lived and bear it so.
Here enters Michael again.
My master would desire you come to bed.
Is he himself already in his bed?
He is, and fain would have the light away.
Exit Franklin. Michael remains.
Conflicting thoughts, encamped in my breast, awake me with the echo of their strokes. And I, a judge to censure either side, can give to neither wished victory. My master's kindness pleads to me for life, with just demand. I must grant it him. My mistress, she hath forced me with an oath for Susan's sake. the which I may not break, for that is nearer than a master's love, that grim-faced fellow, pitiless black will and shake-bagged, stern in bloody stratagem, two rougher ruffians never lived in Kent, have sworn my death if I infringe my vow. A dreadful thing to be considered of. Methinks I see them with their bolstered hair staring and grinning in thy gentle face, and in their ruthless hands their daggers drawn, insulting o'er thee with a peck of oaths, whilst thou, submissive, pleading for relief, art mangled by their ireful instruments. Methinks I hear them ask where Michael is, and pitiless Black Will cries, "Stab the slave! The peasant will detect the treachery, the tragedy." The wrinkles in his foul, death-threatening face gapes open wide like graves to swallow men. Ah, my death to him is but a merriment. Master Franklin, call on the neighbors, or we are but dead.
Sorry, we lost you at the very end there. Something
I'm
strange
here.
happened to the sound.
It was probably horror. Where did you lose me from?
About my death to him is but a merriment, I think.
Do you want me to take up from there?
Yeah, just so we have it.
My death to him is but a merriment, and he will murder me to make him sport. Comes, Master Franklin, help!
Yes, your echo is. I think the sound filtering is taking the echo as sustained sound.
Oh, okay.
Turn on your original sound.
My original sound is now on. I have clicked the thing.
Just a he comes, please.
He comes! He comes! Ah, Master Franklin, help! Call on the neighbors, or we are but dead!
Here enters Franklin and Arden.
What dismal outcry calls me from my rest?
What hath occasioned such a fearful cry? Oh, speak, Michael. Hath any injured thee?
Nothing, sir, but as I fell asleep upon the threshold leaning to the stairs, I had a fearful dream that troubled me, and in my slumber thought I was beset with murderer thieves that came to rifle me. My trembling joints witness my inward fear. I crave your pardons for disturbing you.
Such great a cry for nothing I ne'er heard. What? Are the doors fast locked and all things safe?
I cannot tell. I think I locked the doors.
I like not this, but I'll go see myself. Ne'er trust me, but the doors were all unlocked. This negligence not half contenteth me. Get you to bed, and if you love my favour, let me have no more such pranks as these. Come, Master Franklin, let us go to bed.
Aye, by my faith, the air is very cold. Michael, farewell. I pray thee dream no more.
And they exit. Okay, most of this is all pretty straightforward. There is a sense of deciding how we set place. Time is relatively clear. It's one of the problems is that it feels like it's coming directly on from the previous scene, in sort of the sense that Franklin and Arden walked off, doing things, and then it's quite late at night and stuff. Whereas there needs to be some sort of a time lapse before it's this night come to his house at Aldersgate. So it is pretty straight on, isn't it? It's a few hours may have passed between them. So we don't need to worry too much about shifting time and place in between the two scenes. And Michael gets this wonderful moment of this inner monologue gone wrong. This is a slight tweak of the source material because this Michael, having his master to bed, left open the doors according to his appointment. His master, then being in bed, asked him if he had shut fast the doors, and said yea, but afterwards, fearing lest Black Will would kill him as well as his master, after he was in bed himself, he rose and shut the doors, bolting them fast. So it's not quite what happens here. I mean, it's pretty close, but it becomes this sort of exclamation of oh my God, I am in too deep. Thus waking him. But yeah, it's all domestic sounds. It's all creaking floorboards and doors opening and closing and stuff. But otherwise, I think it's flowing reasonably well. I mean, this is very audio friendly. Any thoughts on this one, Sarah?
Yeah, a couple of audio Foley thoughts. That fabulous line of Michael's, conflicting thoughts encamped in my breast await me with the echo of their strokes. I think you could maybe do something with a clock ticking through this speech, not constantly, but kind of intermittently. He could pause every so often, and then you could just hear this relentless ticking of a clock, and then it could get louder at points, you know, perhaps at the end as he gets more and more worked up. I mean, that would also help to give a sense of time passing, not that you know, you decided that that's not needed, but it would kind of, I think it could, if you used it judiciously in certain places in that speech, it could underscore and kind of motivate some of his panic. So that was one Foley thought I had. And then the other one was actually in my lines, I screwed that up because I'm just cold reading as I go along. But when Arden says, I like not this, but I'll go see myself, then I think you've got a space there where you need to have Arden doing some door opening and maybe some exclaiming in the back, like, oh, you know, because the doors are actually open. And then some very noisy locking of the doors before he comes back and says, no, trust me, but the doors were all unlocked. Yeah. So there's an awful lot of walking around covering. I mean, it's interesting because we're talking about the kind of Foley we can do. We do need to talk about, you know, what time period we're setting this. You know, clocks are not impossible, but they're less probable, depending on when we're setting it, of course. Are we setting it in the original time period it is set in, or the time period of its original production, or are we setting it in a slightly more thing? And the further back in time you go, the fewer sounds there are for our palate. So that's a sort of general thought at the moment. At the moment I feel that as a
clock's
sort of
reasonable.
Wealthy Aldgate merchant, he would have a clock though, wouldn't he? Surely. I mean, would he? I mean, I don't know when clocks are invented.
He might be. I think it's one of those ones where someone might quibble, but I don't really think it's the kind of thing that one cares about. Seriously, I think it's that there are limits. I wouldn't set this in the modern day though. I think a period setting is about right. It's just if we nudge probabilities slightly, then that's not the end of the world. Any other thoughts before we go on to our next scene? Okay, then as before, I think we can continue swapping around as we were earlier. So, you know, different voices. Scene 5 here enters Will, Green, and Shakebag.
Black night hath hid the pleasures of the day, and sheeting darkness overhangs the earth. And with the black fold of her cloudy robe obscures us from the eyesight of the world, in which sweet silence such as we triumph. The lazy minutes linger on their time, as loath to give due audit to the hour, till in the watch our purpose be complete, an ardent scent to everlasting night. Green, get you gone, and linger here about, and at some hour hence come to us again, where we will give you instance of his death.
Speed to my wish, whose will soe'er says no, and so I'll leave you for an hour or two.
Exit Green.
I tell thee, Shakebag, will this were done? I'm so heavy that I can scarce go. The drowsiness in me bodes little good.
How now, Will? Become a precisian? Nay, then let's go to sleep, when bugs and fears shall kill our courages with their fancy's work.
My shake-bag, thou mistakes me much. Wrongs me too in telling me a fear. Were it not a serious thing we go about, it should be slipped till I had fought with thee, to let thee know I am no coward. I tell thee, shake-bag, thou abusest me.
Oh, why thy speech bewrayed an inly kind of fear, and savoured of a weak, relenting spirit? Go forward now, in that we have begun, and afterwards attempt me, when thou darest.
If I do not, heaven cut me off. But let that pass and show me to this house, where thou shalt see I'll do as much as shake-bag.
This is the door. A soft. Methinks 'tis shut. The villain Michael hath deceived us.
Soft. Let me see. Shake-bag. Oh, 'tis shut indeed, not with thy soul. Perhaps the slave will hear.
It will not be. The white-livered peasant is gone to bed, and laughs us both to scorn.
And he shall by his merriment as dear as ever cloister was or else sport. Ne'er let this sword assist when I need, but rust and canker after I have sworn. If only the next time that I meet the hind, look not away his leg, his arm, or boast.
I never let me draw a sword again, nor prosper in the twilight, cock-shut light, when I would fleece the wealthy passenger, but lie and languish in a loathsome den, hated and spit at by the goers by, and in that death may die unpitied, if I, the next time that I meet the slave, cut not the nose from the coward's face, and trample on it for this villainy.
Come, let's go seek out Green. I never swear.
He were a villain, and he would not swear. 'Twould make a peasant swear among his boys that ne'er dost say before but yea and no, to be thus flouted of a coistrel.
Shake-bag, let's seek out Green, and in the morning at the alehouse butting Arden's house, watch the outcoming of that prick-eared cow, and then let me alone to handle him.
Excellent. End of a long night. So yes, we've got effectively an extended sequence that we've been working on here. And yeah, we've got all sorts of Foley options here, weather options, because we're outside as opposed to last time where the scene went indoors. We've got cobbles, we've got gravel options, all sorts of moving around. We've got rattling of doors. And again, that's one way the Foley has to really work on it, of sort of going gently, gently. Hudda, 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 hudda. Shit. Sort of stuff, and making sure that matches what the actors are doing there and things. And there's an awful lot of, I would have got away with it if it wasn't for those pesky kids locking doors. There's an awful lot of Will and Shakebag doing this kind of business, and it's got to. Yeah, we've got to be careful. There's part of me now starting going, oh, I possibly see trims happening in the edit. It's good stuff, but there's quite a lot of it. Any thoughts on this? It's mostly, again, all explicated in the dialogue. I don't think there's really much to be done here apart from just layering sound onto it. Sarah?
It's not really relevant, but I just can't get over how crap these two are. Like, they check the door. Curses! He's locked it. We are foiled in our plot. Like, check to see if there's another door. Check to see if they can get in through a window. No, it's like, this door's locked. Damn it! Our carefully laid plot is all gone to waste. It's just, oh my God, climb a drain pipe. No, it's funny.
Yeah, they are very much. This was the plan, therefore we are foiled. Then there's no other plan is available. Whereas hey, I can dig it. Okay, so we're going from sequences mostly nighttime and getting nighttime atmosphere right, and here we go to. Are we changing time? I think we are. I think this is probably the next day. We shall see. Scene 6 again. I think we can stay with pretty much where we are. We might need to move some people around for future scenes, but yeah, we're okay for the moment. Scene 6. Here enters Arden, Franklin, and Michael.
Sarah, Get you back to Billingsgate and learn what time the tide will serve our turn. Come to us in pools. At first, go make the bed, and afterwards go hearken for the flood.
Exit Michael.
Come, Master Franklin, you shall go with me. This night I dreamt that, being in a park, a toil was pitched to overthrow the deer, and I upon a little rising hill stood wistly watching for the herd's approach. Even there, methoughts, a gentle slumber took me, and summoned all my parts to sweet repose. But in the pleasure of this golden rest, an ill-thewed foster had removed the toil and rounded me with that beguiling home which late, methought, was pitched to cast the deer. With that, he blew an evil-sounding horn, and at the noise another herdman came, with falchion drawn, and bent it at my breast, crying aloud, thou art the game we seek. With this, I woke, and trembled every joint, like one obscured in a little bush that sees a lion foraging about. And when the dreadful forest king is gone, he pries about with timorous suspect throughout the thorny casements of the brake, and will not think his person dangerless, but quakes and shivers, though the cause be gone. So, trust me, Franklin, when I did awake, I stood in doubt whether I waked or no. Such great impression took this fond surprise. God grant this vision be deem me any good.
This fantasy doth rise from Michael's fear, who being awake with the noise he made, in troubled senses, yet could take no rest. And this I warrant you procured your dream.
Maybe so. God frame it to the best. But oftentimes my dreams presage too true.
To such as know there might be fantasies someone in 20 may incur belief, but use it not. 'Tis but a mockery.
Come, Master Franklin. We'll now walk in pools and dine together at the ordinary, and by my man's direction draw to the quay, and with the tide go down to Faversham. Say, Master Franklin, shall it not be so?
At your good pleasure, sir, I'll bear you company.
So we need to set up that, it's the next day, dawn chorus, birds singing, I don't know, clattering of breakfast things, Michael being told to do 3 things simultaneously. Bless him. Michael needs to be given random, yes, sir, yes, master, kind of dialogue there, just to give him a bit more presence. But I do love this, go and find out when the tide turns. Make the bed. This is Arden on tour, isn't it? It's like, I don't trust the household to run function away with just you, Michael. I suspect you, Michael, will not remember to do basic tasks without Alice to tell you exactly what to do every 5 seconds. And yeah, Arden constantly prefiguring his own death. I mean, he really does know what, his subconscious is absolutely like that. I mean, it's absolutely on it. He's already said that not will out till wretched Arden dies, which is more an ironic statement than a prediction earlier. But he knows. He knows, even if he doesn't know. He knows. Otherwise, we are basically starting another sequence. So we had the last few scenes were all one nighttime sequence, even though they're separate scenes. It's all sort of a whole. I think this scene is going to run into the next scene almost effectively uninterrupted. And I think Tom made this point earlier about pauses, the nature of those little breaks when not a lot has to be happening. Michael's going to be pottering around making beds, and they're going to grab him, and so I don't feel we need transition music or something to transition from this scene to the next scene. I think it all goes together in quite nice ways. And Tom.
Yeah, I think the background sounds would set the scene quite nicely. From night to morning to villainy to there is because it is such a, as you say, there's no great orchestration in it. It's a very simple time. It's morning. It's night. It's just has ambient sounds.
And they did say earlier where they actually are, aren't they? Didn't they? Where are they today? Michael did state it scenes ago, didn't he? He's actually said literally where he is. Aldersgate, yes. So we can have bells, we can have street. You know, the street outside the window. It's a different sound signature to what we had earlier. So yeah, we've got lots of options to make sure that this doesn't sound like it's the same house we were in at the beginning of the play. Though making early modern houses sound different is going to be an interesting challenge. We're going to make sure the latches are subtly different to the doors, very slightly different. Okay, let's continue, because as I say, I've basically classified this next bit as effectively a continuation. Let's see if I'm right. I've been wrong several times so far, so this is always good to see how my memory functions. Let's stay with the same readers. Scene 7. Here enters Michael at one door. Here enters Will, Green, and Shakebag at another door. Will?
I keep missing my mute button when I try and press it. Draw a Shakebag, please. That film, Michael.
No, first, well, let's hear what he can say.
Speak, milk, sop, slave, and never after speak.
For God's sake, sirs, let me excuse myself. For here I swear by heaven and earth and all, I did perform the utmost of my task, and left the doors unbolted and unlocked. But see the chance. Franklin and my master were very late conferring in the porch, and Franklin left his napkin where he sat with a certain gold knit in it, as he said. Being in bed, he did bethink himself, and coming down, he found the doors unshut. He locked the gates and brought away the keys, for which offence my master rated me. Now I'm going to see what flood it is, for with the tide my master will away, where you may front him well on Rainham Down, a place well fitting such a stratagem.
Your excuse have somewhat mollified my choler. I agree, it's better now than wherever it was.
But Michael, is this true?
As true as I report it to be true.
Then, Michael, this shall be your penance, to feast us all at the salutation, where we will plot our purpose thoroughly.
And Michael, you shall bear no news of this tide, because they too may be in Rainham Down before your master.
I'll agree to anything you'll have me, if so you will accept of my company.
And they exit and force him to buy them lunch. What reprobates they, what villains, what cads they are, making poor Michael stiff them a few drinks. So that's the little coda to the previous night's action. They sort of forgive him. It's like Will and Shakebag are constantly going, "Oh, fight, revenge, death," drink. It just sort of devolves very, very quickly. Again, no real problem here. We could have it that we make it the logic being Michael's leaving the house there, he's shutting the front door, they collar him in the street. It all sort of could work together perfectly well there. It's either that or they sneak in somehow, having once Arden's left the house, the person they're trying to kill, they could kill at some point. But hey, who knows? Any other thoughts then on that nice two scenes I'm now treating as one unit of action? I've got a unit of dark action, so I'm almost looking at this as we're only about 4 scenes in, even though we're about to start scene 8, because I'm sort of uniting them in the sense of how their soundscape functions rather than their dramatic action. Any other thoughts before we go on to scene 8? Sarah?
I just love, Michael spins them this yarn, which we know already as the audience isn't true. And then when Green says, "But Michael, is this true?" he says, "As true as I report it to be true."
It is an excellent piece of circular logic, isn't it?
Yeah. I just thought that really tickled me. It was so funny. But,
They're not clever. They're not clever people. None of them are clever. That's as close to wit as Michael gets, really, isn't it? Eric.
I'm just wondering because I mean I know we read the source, but obviously it's been a while. And just sort of the whole. It's like they're doing the whole. It's called like the tour around Cheapside, except obviously like. This is where these characters were, like, these people were actually spotted, like, sort of, they went from Kent to Faversham, and then from Faversham to Rainham Down, and then, not Faversham, I think it was London, possibly? Yeah, London, then to Rainham Down, and then, it's like they're doing a tour, the pub crawl version kind of thing.
Yeah. Just going to the source. Then Green met and talked with Arden's man, and asked of him why he did not leave open the doors, according to his promise. "Marry," said Michael, "I will show you the cause. My master yesternight did that he never did before, for after I was in bed he rose up and shut the doors, and in the morning rated me for leaving them unshut, and herewith Green and Blackwell were pacified." So there. So yeah, it follows the source very, very closely a lot of the time. I mean, it's very tight. I mean, there are some various little things that either don't happen or happen in a slightly different place that I've sort of skipped over just there. But yeah, when it's like they've just taken that and just right, turn that into dialogue, will you, mate? Turn it into proper dialogue, and they have. Okay, let us do some. Let's go back to the house. We're going back to the Ardens, and we've got a scene here. Liza, could you read Musby? Sarah, if you can read Alice, you can be the other side of the murdering chain. Tom, if I could ask you to read Bradshaw, coming up at the end of the scene, and then we'll see where we are when we get to the end of that. Again, I'm suspecting this is a relatively straightforward scene and that we won't have any major issues to play around with, but we shall see. Scene 8, here enters Mosby.
Disturbed thoughts drives me from company and dries my marrow with their watchfulness. Continued trouble of my moody brain feebles my body by excessive drink, and nips me as the bitter northeast wind doth check the tender blossoms in the spring. Well fares the man, howe'er his cates do taste, that tables not with foul suspicion, and he but pines among his delicates, whose troubled mind is stuffed with discontent. My golden time was when I had no gold. Though then I wanted, yet I slept secure. My daily toil begat me night's repose. My night's repose made daylight fresh to me. Since I climbed the top bough of the tree and sought to build my nest among the clouds, each gentle, stirry gale doth shake my bed and makes me dread my downfall to the earth. But whither doth contemplation carry me? The way I seek to find where pleasure dwells is hedged behind me that I cannot back, but needs must on, although to danger's gate. Then Arden, perish thou by that decree, for green doth ear the land and weed thee up to make my harvest nothing but pure corn. And for his pains I'll hive him up a while, and after smother him to have his wax. Such bees as green must never live to sting. Then there Michael and the painter too, chief actors to Arden's overthrow, who when they shall see me sit in Arden's seat, they will insult upon me for my meed, or fright me by detecting of his end. I'll none of that. For I can cast a bone to make these curs pluck out each other's throat, and then am I sole ruler of mine own. Yet Mistress Arden lives, but she's myself, and holy church rites makes us two but one. What for that? I cannot trust you, Alice. You have supplanted Arden for my sake, and will extirpane me to plant another. 'Tis fearful sleeping in a serpent's bed, and I will cleanly rid my hands of her.
And here enters Alice.
But here she comes, and I must flatter her. How now, Alice? What? Sad and passionate? Make me partaker of thy pensiveness. Fire divided burns with lesser force.
I will damn that fire in my breast, till by the force thereof my part consume. Ah, Mosby.
Such deep pathers, like to a cannon's burst discharged against a ruinated wall, breaks my relenting heart in thousand pieces. Ungentle Alice, thy sorrow is my sore, thou know'st it well, and 'tis thy policy to forge distressful looks, to wound a breast where lies a heart that dies when thou art sad. It is not love that loves to anger love.
It is not love that loves to murder love.
How mean you that?
Thou knowest how daily Arden loved me.
And then?
And then? Conceal the rest, for 'tis too bad, lest that my words be carried with the wind and published in the world to both our shames. I pray thee, Mosby, let our springtime wither. Our harvest else will yield but loathsome weeds. Forget, I pray thee, what has passed betwixt us, for how I blush and tremble at the thoughts.
What? Are you changed?
Ay, to my former happy life again, from title of an odious strumpet's name to honest Arden's wife. Not Arden's honest wife. Oh, Mosby, 'tis thou hast rifled me of that and made me slanderous to all my kin. Even in my forehead is thy name engraven, a mean artificer, that low-born name. I was bewitched. Oh, worth the hapless hour and all the causes that enchanted me.
Nay, if you ban, let me breathe curses forth, and if you stand so nicely at your fame, let me repent the credit I have lost. I have neglected matters of import that would have stated me above thy state, forslowed advantages and spurned at time. I, fortune's right hand, Mosby hath forsook to take a wanton giglet by the left. I left the marriage of an honest maid, whose dowry would have weighed down all thy wealth, whose beauty and demeanor far exceeded thee. This certain good I lost for changing bad, and wrapped my credit in thy company. I was bewitched, that is no theme of thine, and thou unhallowed has enchanted me. But I will break thy spells and exorcisms, and put another sight upon these eyes that showed my heart a raven for a dove. Thou art not fair, I viewed thee not till now. Thou art not kind, till now I knew thee not. And now the rain hath beaten off thy guilt, thy worthless copper shows thee counterfeit. It grieves me not to see how foul thou art, but mads me that I ever thought thee fair. Go, get thee gone, a cope's mate for thy hinds. I am too good to be thy favourite.
Ay, now I see, and too soon find it true, which often hath been told me by my friends, that Mosby loves me not, but for my wealth, which too incredulous I ne'er believed. Nay, hear me speak, Mosby, a word or two. I'll bite my tongue if it speak bitterly. Oh, look on me, Mosby, or I'll kill myself. Nothing shall hide me from thy stormy look. If thou cry war, there is no peace for me. I will do penance for offending thee, and burn this prayer book, where I here use the holy word that had converted me. See, Mosby, I will tear away the leaves, and all the leaves, and in this golden cover shall thy sweet phrases and thy letters dwell. And thereon will I chiefly meditate and hold no other sect but such devotion. Wilt thou not look? Is all thy love overwhelmed? Wilt thou not hear what malice stops thine ears? Why speakst thou not? what silence ties thy tongue? Thou hast been sighted as the eagle is, and heard as quickly as the fearful hare, and spoke as smoothly as an orator, when I have bid thee hear, or see, or speak. And art thou sensible in none of these? Weigh all thy good turns with this little fault, and I deserve not Mosby's muddy looks. A fence of trouble is not thickened still. Be clear again. I'll no more trouble thee.
Oh no, I am a base artificer. My wings are feathered for a lowly flight. Mosby, fie, no, not for £1,000. Make love to you, why 'tis unpardonable. We beggars must not breathe where gentles are.
Sweet Mosby is as gentle as a king, and I too blind to judge him otherwise. Flowers do sometimes spring in fallow lands, weeds in gardens, roses grow on thorns. So whatsoever my Mosby's father was, himself is valued gentle by his worth.
Ah, how you women can insinuate and clear a trespass with your sweet-set tongue. I will forget this quarrel, gentle Alice, provided I'll be tempted so no more.
Then with
Here enters Bradshaw.
Then with thy lips seal up this new-made match.
Soft, Alice, here comes somebody.
How now, Bradshaw? What's the news with you?
I have little news, but here's a letter the Master Green importuned me to give to you.
Go in, Bradshaw. Call for a cup of beer. 'Tis almost supper time. Thou shalt stay with us.
And exit Bradshaw. She reads the letter.
We have missed of our purpose at London, but shall perform it by the way. We thank our neighbour Bradshaw, yours Richard Green. How likes my love the tenor of this letter?
Well, were his date completed and expired.
Oh, would it were! Then comes my happy hour. Till then my bliss is mixed with bitter gall. Come, let us in to shun suspicion.
Aye, to the gates of death to follow thee.
And exeunt. So yeah, it's one of those nice little character actor, mostly into the mic stuff. It's all except when they sort of start flinging stuff. There's a sort of zooming in, zooming outness to this. No, I can't trust them. No, I have doubts. I have doubts. No, I have doubts. That you're not allowed to have doubts. I'm supposed to have the doubt. Oh, should we make up? And we're back where we started. Sort of. Yeah. There's an awful lot of sort of just character vacillation and playing around. I mean, there's stuff to dig in this for actors to play around with, but again, sonically not really worried about this. There is that little question of how do we show the audience that we are back in Ardenville rather than in London, and I don't think there's an answer unless we have a very distinctive goose that they have in the garden or something. I don't know. They have a cat. Meow. There we are. We're back in Arden's house. That something like down. I don't know. I'm getting very silly now. But I don't think that's a genuine problem.
Wind through trees, or pattering rain, or something.
But yeah. Tom.
Again, I think for me, the charm of this is the etched background and there's some beautiful lines, and the lines themselves come out of this background, this very simplistic background, and the lines really shine through. Nothing shall hide me from thy stormy look. If thou cry war, there is no peace for me. I will do penance for offending thee. And there's just the lines themselves are very powerful, I think, and therefore the background should be very simplistic.
Yes, I don't. We don't. No, absolutely. I'm really only thinking here in terms of the initial setting of the scene when Mosby is speaking at the beginning. The rest is all just footsteps and entering and exiting, and that's it. I don't think we need much more. Something very light in the background, maybe, but you don't want to overlay it. And the sound of Bradshaw's very important plot. Hi, I arrive with news of the plot. Quality. I've actually also got written in the corner episode 2 for this episode. Is like we've had a unit of action, and this is the recap. Previously on Arden of Faversham, Alice tried to kill her husband, because it does sort of function that way. It sort of just says, okay, we're now into the next. We're setting up the next flow of the action. Okay, I think we're going to try one more scene. This is a bit more fiddly, but hopefully the doubling will stand up to the strain, and we'll see how it all goes. It might not work. We're whipping back to, broadly speaking, where we were before. Scene 9. Here enters Green, Will, and Shakebag.
Come, Will, see thy tools be in a readiness. Is not thy powder dank? Will thy flint strike fire?
You ask me if my nose be on my face, or whether my tongue be frozen in my mouth. Zounds is a coil. You had best swear me on the interrogatories how many pistols I have took in hand, and whether I love the smell of gunpowder, or dare abide the noise the dagger will make, or will not wink at flashing of the fire. We pray thee, Shakebag, let this answer thee. I have took more purses in this town than e'er thou handlest pistols in thy knife.
Aye, haply thou hast picked more in a throng. But should I brag what booties I have took, I think the overplus that's more than thine would mount to a greater sum of money than either thou or all thy kin are worth. Zounds, I hate them as I hate a toad that carries a moscado in their tongue, and scarce a hurting weapon in their hand.
Oh, Green, intolerable! It is not for mine honour to bear this. My Shakebag, I did serve the king at Boulogne, and thou canst brag of nothing that thou hast done.
Why, so can Jack of Faversham, that sounded for a fillip on the nose when he that gave it to him hollowed in his ear, and he supposed a cannon bullet hit him.
Then they fight.
I pray you, sirs, list to Aesop's talk. Whilst two stout dogs were striving for a bone, there comes a cur and stole it from them both. So while you stand striving on these terms of manhood, Arden escapes us and deceives us all.
Why, he begun.
And thou shalt find on end. I do not slip it until better time. But if I do, forget.
And then he kneels down and holds up his hands to heaven.
Well, take your fittest standings, and once more lime well your twigs to catch this wary bird. I'll leave you, and at your dag's discharge make towards, like the longing water dog that coucheth till the fowling piece be off. Then seizeth on the prey with eager mood. Ah, might I see him stretching forth his limbs as I have seen them beat their wings ere now.
Why, that thou shalt see if he comes this way.
Yes, that he doth, Shakebag, I warn thee, but brawl not when I'm gone in any case. But sirs, be sure to speed him when he comes, and in that hope I'll leave you for an hour.
Exit Green. We'll just briefly pause there. So yeah, we're on the open road, sort of setting outdoors. We need all sorts of how many pistols I have took in hand. Swear the so we can have clicking and preparation and as I've got noted in my thing, it's the vices having a fight from morality plays. I also love that Shakebag just going, he started it. I just love it. It's so childish. He started, yeah, it's a shush now. Let me tell you about Aesop. I had a fable for this. And yeah, Green always, because obviously Green doesn't want to hang around, does he? But we talk about the open road, so we've got the option of, a road, but also undergrowth, brambles, twig snapping. I'm not sure what time of day. Have they stated what sort of time of day? Did we get a sense of that? I'm assuming daylight rather than night. That they're using just the cover of the expanse of not being near anything rather than nighttime this time. These are minor things for audio, but they do make a slight difference to how we mix it all together. Any other thoughts before we just complete the scene? I think I've covered all the basic things. Eric?
I thought it was night because I think it was either Shakebag or Will who goes like my sort of my tongue be frozen in my mouth. I assumed that was just like he's frozen cold, but I don't know if that's actual just me going like over analyzing language. And
it could just be cold, of course. Anyone else catch a specific reference to actual time? I mean, it's a down, I suppose, but that could be anything.
Also, Green does a lot of leaving. It's like, yeah, you can manage. I trust you. After all the times that you failed, I still trust you.
Well, he's only the middleman. I mean, he's not there for the murder itself. He's just there to make sure it's done. So he's the line manager saying, okay, so I'm just going to check on I'm just going to make some calls. Yeah, I'm watching you though.
Yeah, but if they fail, he doesn't get his land.
Well, yeah, but but he does. I say he doesn't want to be directly implicated with the murder. I mean, I think it is murder, and they are the professionals. For the listeners at home, you couldn't hear everyone laughing there because they were all muted. Where did we go from? Here enters Arden, isn't it? That's where we stopped. So I think the doubling just about survives. We have Lord Cheney and his men coming on later. Tom, if you could read them when they enter. And if you end up talking to yourselves, people, just do silly voices and we'll see how it goes because we just want to get a sense of how it all flows. Exit Green. Here enters Arden, Franklin and Michael.
"'Twere best that I went back to Rochester. The horse halts downright. It were not good he travelled in such pain to Faversham. Removing of a shoe may haply help it."
Well, get you back to Rochester. But Sarah, CEO take us when ere we come to Rainham down. But 'twill be very late ere we get home.
"Aye, God he knows. And so doth Will and Shakebag that thou shalt ne'er go further than that down. Therefore have I pricked the horse on purpose, because I would not view the massacre."
Exit Michael.
Come, Master Franklin, onwards with your tale.
"I do assure you, sir, you task me much. A heavy blood is gathered up my heart, and on the sudden is my wind so short as hindereth the passage of my speech. So fierce a quiet ne'er assailed me."
Come, Master Franklin, let us go on softly. The annoyance of the dust, or else some meat you ate at dinner, cannot brook with you. I have been often so, and soon amended.
"Do you remember where my tale did leave?"
Aye, where the gentleman did check his wife.
She being reprehended for the fact, witness produced that took her with the deed. A glove brought in, which there she left behind, and many other assured arguments her husband asked her whether it were not so.
Her answer, then? I wonder how she looked, having forsworn it with such a vehement oaths, and at the instant so approved upon her.
First she did cast her eyes down to the earth, watching the drops that fell amain from thence. Then softly draws she forth her handkerchief, and modestly she wipes her tear-stained face. Then hymned she out, so clear her voice should seem, and with a majesty addressed herself. to encounter all their accusations. Pardon me, Master Arden, I can no more. This fighting at my heart makes it all may win.
Come, we are almost now at Rainham Down. Your pretty tale beguiles the weary way. Would you were in state to tell it out? Stand close, Will. I hear them coming.
Here enters Lord Cheney with his men.
Enjoy Shakespeare and be resolute.
It is so near night as it seems, or will this black-faced evening have a shower? What, Master Arden? You are well met. I have longed this fortnight day to speak with you. You are a stranger, man, in this Isle of Sheppey.
Your honours always, bound to do you service.
Come you from London, and ne'er a man with you?
My man's coming after, but here's my honest friend that came along with me.
My Lord Protector's man, I take you to be?
Aye, my good lord, and highly bound to you.
You and your friend come and sup with me.
I beseech your honour, pardon me. I have made a promise to a gentleman, my honest friend, to meet him at my house. The occasion is great, or else I would wait on you.
Will you come tomorrow and dine with me? And bring your honest friend along with you. I have divers matters to talk with you about.
Of tomorrow we'll wait upon your honour.
One of you stay my horse at the top of the hill? What, Black Will, for thou whose purse waits you? Thou wilt be hanged in Kent when it's done.
Not hanged, God save your honour. I'm your beadsman bound to pray for you.
I think thou ne'er saidst prayer in all thy life. One of you give him a crown. Sir, I leave this kind of life. If thou behest, tainted for a penny matter, and come in question, surely thou wilt trust. Come, Master Arden, let us be going, and your way and mine lies 4 miles together.
They exit apart from Will and Shakebag.
Don't break all your necks and fall out. Sounds like I could kill myself for very anger. His lordship chops me in even when my dag was levelled at his heart. With his crown and Morton down his throat.
Arden. Now that's wondrous holy luck. Did ever man escape as thou hast done? Well, I'll discharge my pistol at the sky, for by this bullet Arden might not die.
We can infer a bang at that point. Here enters Green.
What, is he down? Is he dispatched?
Aye, in health, towards Faversham to shame us all.
The devil he is white, sirs. How escaped he?
When we were ready to shoot, comes my Lord Cheney to prevent his death.
The Lord of Heaven hath preserved him.
Preserved a fig! Lord Cheney preserved him and bid him to a feast to his house at Charlow. But by the way, once more, I'll meet with him, and if all the Cheneys in the world say no, I'll have a bullet in his breast tomorrow. So come, Green, and let us to Faversham.
Aye, and excuse ourselves to Mistress Arden. Oh, how she'll chafe when she hears of this.
Why, I warrant you, she think we dare not do it.
Well, then let us go and tell him all the matter and plant the news to cut him off tomorrow.
And they exit. Okay, so we've got lots of little clues here what to do with this. We're going with a late evening. It's slightly ambiguous. Cheney's either going, well, it's either later than I thought or it's about to rain, which I quite liked. I'm interested that, I think we need snapping twigs when Cheney turns around and says, what, Blackwell, or something like that. He needs to pick him out. I wonder whether we need to actually get Arden sort of off earlier, so that Arden doesn't catch the Blackwell stuff, that he's slightly exited. I think on stage he would have already be on his way off and, not really interested. But I just worry slightly that he's slightly too because it's like Will's cover's blown. If he was a spy, I mean, he'd be off to the gulag by now. I mean, it's awful. Liza.
Oh, you're much nicer than I would be. I would keep Arden on stage and have him be the person who gives Will a crown.
But again, I'm not sure how.
Probably not. Yeah, in audio format. It probably
Yeah, it feels like we should dispense with Arden, or maybe that line, "Come, Master Arden." Arden's actually ridden ahead of him, and he's actually just going, "Come, Master Arden," and he's shouting that too. He's retreating back. As I say, I just feel that he shouldn't meet Will. I mean, on stage, this is a wonderful moment because he's literally there and he's about to do the stabby. He's literally saying, "I was about to stab you, mate," in his aside. I was going to kill him. It was the wrong one. You Lord. I would have got away with it if it wasn't for Lord Cheney and his men. But we got clippy cloppy hooves. I love Michael's just going, I did the horse in on purpose. I don't want to be involved. I really want out of this. A little bit of low animal cunning in Michael there, actually. That's good thinking. But yeah, once again, I think we've got to say it's in this instance, Shakebag and Will are just unlucky here. I mean, they couldn't have known that was going to happen. But they are now starting to get sort of Dastardly and Muttley vibes. They just keep turning and going, "Oh, you're a pigeon." Slight variation from the source again here, but this is sort of the kind of logic that adaptations sort of go for. Because, yes, it was agreed that Black Will should kill him on Rainham Down. When Master Arden came to Rochester, his man, still fearing that Black Will would kill him with his master, pricked his horse of purpose and made him to halt, to the end that he might protract the time and tarry behind. His master asked him why his horse halted. He said, "I know not." "Well," quoth his master, "when ye come to the smith here before, between Rochester and the foothill, remove his shoe and search him, and then come after me." So Master Arden rode on, and there he came to the place where Black Will lay in wait for him. There overtook him divers gentlemen of his acquaintance, who kept him company, so that Black Will missed here also of his purpose. It's not Lord Cheney, because Lord Cheney turns up later in the narrative. So there's a conflation of Lord Cheney for the dramatisation, which is neat enough, and I think it's better to have some actual people engaging in this. But again, I'm a little worried about the appearance of stand to it, shake bag, and be resolute from Will, but I think it's clear enough. I think it's clear enough. I think they enter the action happily enough, and the dialogue works. But any disagreements or additional thoughts about the sound for this? We're obviously setting off we need to make sure the pistol sounds moderately authentic. You've got to get some reenactors to discharge some pistols for us so that we get the correct. Because there's more a thump to your old school pistols. The report's different. Any other thoughts on this final scene of this session? We're not going to get any more in. Or any other final audio thoughts about adaptation? It's flowing really well, I have to say. I mean, there's nothing here that is presenting me the most we've had is one bit of business that's a bit messy, but the play then explicates it quite clearly afterwards. It's just about setting scenes and just doing some good acting, really. Just do the acting. Sarah?
Yes, I don't have anything to add from a Foley or that side of audio perspective, because it's just so beautifully straightforward. My thoughts about this, and I think I queried this in the first workshop as well, but that scene between Alice and Mosby, that was such a cracking scene, and it made me think what I thought last time, that I still really, I'm beginning to think it would be worth doing at least two versions of this as an audio drama. So it's like it's a true crime recreation. You do one version where Mosby is clearly gaslighting Alice, which is the version I'm kind of leaning into myself personally. But I think it would also be completely possible to do another version where Mosby has actually been, Alice is more of a femme fatale, and Mosby finds himself in this situation, and it would actually be quite fascinating to do two actual separate dramas, and take one way and one the other, and then the listener could play them both, and then at the end it's like, well, which is right, you decide, kind of thing, because there's so much ambiguity. The characters are so well developed that there just is a lot of ambiguity. As a director, you could take it in either direction, I think, and the same with Arden. You could make him such a sympathetic character, or you could make him fairly tyrannical. Both interpretations, that the text would support both interpretations. So I think you could have all sorts of fun deliberately taking this off in different directions and doing different versions of it.
Yeah, because we had a lot of discussion about Arden's character, because he's under a lot of stress, and maybe he's very sharp in his business practices, but considering he's largely right, he's not. He's not. He might be paranoid, but they are also out to get him. His subconscious is really talking to him all the way through the play. I'm really interested in his relationship with Franklin as well. We were talking about, was Franklin's sort of set up as this nice guy, but then he also does some really nasty things as he goes along, more in scenes that we did previously. They've all got something to play with, and I like that idea that we don't. Well, certainly at this stage, we don't need to make any decisions. I mean, it might be beyond us to go that far. But if we did go one way and we wanted to then come back to this on stage, then we might go the other way. And there are multiple versions of things are always good. And there's a lot of straw to make bricks here with these characters. I mean, I'm not always sure they are consistent, but I don't know that, because I think there is an inconsistency, but I think that's also just in where they are at any given moment. When you're plotting a murder, I think there is a sort of thing that they're. Can you trust the person you're murdering with? And clearly they don't trust each other at all. I mean, it's explicitly stated from Mosby's part, but I don't think she trusts him either. I mean, it's like, but once the joint enterprise is done, then you're sort of locked in together, and I mean, spoilers, people, that he does get murdered. So yeah. I don't. There's part of me also thinking maybe we should workshop just on the character front and just work our way through a through line for either Alice or Mosby or Arden or all of them. If you're interested in that kind of content, listener, let us know. And play with it that way rather than just this sort of more aerial eye view of the text, which is what we're currently doing. Looking at the big picture. And dipping into the sweating the small stuff. Okay, any additional thoughts in the room before I close this session? No. Well, all that remains then is to thank all the wonderful readers, Greg, Eric, Tom, Sarah and Liza, for all their wonderful reading. I've been your host, Robert Crighton. Thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye. Arden must die.